Okay, so everybody been talking about basically should the Cowboys draft a quarterback or not. Now I'll say they got Trey Lance on the roster, so on one hand, no, they traded the fourth round pick to get him, and he's still young on a cheap contract. No. On the other hand, I would say yes if they had more of a plethora of picks. They don't really seem like they had a lot, and they got like other stuff to fill. Also, I want to say no because if they're going to change coaches at the end of the season, there's really no damn reason to that you're going to draft a quarterback just for the coach to come in that doesn't have a rapport with this quarterback, and that always is a tricky situation. But it does also bring up a really good conversation because Dak is going into last year's contract. So the whole thing is basically majority of people are just like, no, keep Dak. Why they haven't paid Dak? They should pay Dak and all the other stuff. But a lot of us also sort of agree. Well, I do think that Dak is a really good quarterback. I think he's also pretty middling of all the quarterbacks. If you get what I'm saying, like yes, he is really good, but also I will probably rattle off 13, 14 quarterback before I get Dak. But as somebody who has Tua would like Dak at the same time. He's a very weird situation. Um, but it's this whole thing that I'm just like, I get the scarcity of quarterbacks, but sometimes I'm just like, why do you do stupid things despite everything telling you not to? And maybe it's just human nature. But my whole thing is that I'm like, okay, you reached only so far with Dak, and we've had it where Dak has had really good teams, offense, defensively, and for whatever reason the Cowboys haven't gone anywhere. Is it all his fault? No, but he's a good part of it. So I don't understand why it can't just be like, okay, cool. We're just gonna start bare and just start with somebody new. Yeah, it might. I was like, it is difficult to get a pretty good quarterback in the league, but at the same time, if you got a pretty good quarterback, you're also in a stuck position once you have to pay that pretty good quarterback, like elite quarterback, and then you're like, hey, y'all know you've been pretty good when we've had talent around you, but now that we're not gonna have talent around you, can you still do it at the same level and higher? I know you haven't showed it. I know you haven't proved it, and we're taking less away from you. Can you do more? That seems like very like a dumb way of doing things, and I don't understand why doubling down on that. Really, I'd rather go ahead and be like, hey, this year after Dak, regardless of he didn't want an extra he didn't want to. They would have given him his money. He didn't want to stay, whatever the reason, and they want to be like, hey, we're going to go with Trey Lance. Yeah, Trey Lance might be some doo doo, and but guess what? Because of that, maybe now you ain't got to worry about that contract. Now you can fill up around the other stuff, and guess what? Now your team gets to build better, and then one, I was like, maybe you can get a quarterback by like through way of trading all the other stuff. We're seeing so many quarterbacks leaving like their first team and stuff like that. Two, I was like, there's so many young quarterback that people are just running through really. And like, if you don't really put a first round pick in it, you could keep on just drafting quarterback. But also, I don't think it's really not. I don't really think it's that hard to get a pretty good quarterback. Like, yes, it's going to take time and development, and yes, I was like, yes, something like Dak had played at elite level at times or at seasons, but at the same time, we can all say like, yeah, but he hadn't been that when it's needed, so therefore, can't you find that really somewhere else? And I'm like, yeah, I think you really can. I was like, I think there is a middle ground between somebody like Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, and stuff like that, where I'm like, I think you could find. Yes, you might not get an elite, and I was like, but you don't have an elite now. That's just getting older and more expensive. And it's not to say that him going to another team won't work, but I'm like, if, for instance, if he goes to a team that's like has more younger contracts, but they're better talent, that helps out maybe a team that needs that and that's like, oh, we can afford to pay your high salary because everything over here is low. Whereas like a team that has high salary can't afford to pay high salary and then keep the high salary. Like I'm like everything comes to a head at some point. I was like, I'm just saying, I'm like, I feel like yes, there are sometimes problems where, like, for instance, Carolina a couple years ago where they had Darnold, Mayfield, and it was just like a rotation of quarterbacks, and it's like, oh man, that seemed like it sucks. Not everybody can have the good fortunes of like how the Colts have, where it was like Peyton and Luck for a while, and then yes, they didn't have any. There was like some stuff where it was not working. And Anthony Richardson seems like that guy. He just got to stay healthy. I'm totally fine with like, for instance, I was like the Dolphins. We seen Tua, and I was like, I'm willing to give it one more year, but at no point am I'm over here being like I'm committed. And to be honest, I don't even know how I feel, even if he plays good this year, just because I'm like, I feel like we've seen the peak of what this offense looks like with him. I feel like we've seen the peak of him, and I'm like, I don't mind just go ahead and just being like, yo, let's just take another quarterback, or let's just try one of these other quarterbacks over here until we get another quarterback. It, I'm just like, to me, I'm like, that's so middle of the pack that I was like, I don't think that that's hard to find. Like, what would scare me is the 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 Jordan Love Aaron Rodgers move. That scares me a lot more. Now you could justify the Aaron Rodgers because he was older, but that would scare me. I was like the Tom Brady leaving. That would scare me because you had a quarterback at like such, that at a high level, even though at their age. When they was sort of getting rid of Derek Carr, that was really just more of a feelings move, but that's not really hurting. Uh, I was like, how you sort of thought of Deshaun Watson at the time because of what he was before all the crap happened. That was like, yo, that would scare me of having to trade that guy. I get sort of training from like Kyler Murray. I was like, I get that as scary. Training from Daniel Jones, hell no. Kirk Cousins, no. I was like, I was like, if you're a team that is just worried about, hey, I just want to be competent or get into the playoff, hey, fine. And by the way, I was like, to me, you built even more of a reason of like, why don't you do that shit more often? Because your bar is only here, so it shouldn't be hard to get a quarterback that meets that bar over here, especially when you look at the division and stuff. But like somewhere like Philly, you can't do that. That bar is up here. So guess what? Cowboy bar should be up here. They settle for here all the time. So I'm like, but I'm like, some of these quarterbacks, you could probably find if the situation is right, you can get like you can't get a Lamar, you can't get a Josh Allen, you can't. I was like, you can't get like a Burrow, you can't like some of these dudes. Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, no, those are your quarterbacks until some catastrophic injury or something that says otherwise. But I was like, to be honest, I was like, Jared Goff's going to be in this situation. I was like, I just think I was like he been playing really well with Detroit, but I was like it's gonna come a time with that situation, depending on what he wants. There's a lot of these teams that just like, oh, I'm gonna stay with quarterback. I'm like, no, you really should break up. And I was like, Dallas is sort of in that little teeter tottering point. And I was like, I think I'm fine with them playing the season now. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's a hard idea. Like, yes, go ahead. I would like, yeah, get your money back if you can get that money out of other stuff. Almost like them from their business side, I understand them waiting or whatever like that. It's kind of sort of because they talking out the side of their neck about how about that, and that's sort of really the problem. But one, I think it's sort of a win-win for both teams. But I just think more teams should just be able to be like, we're getting off this mediocrity train when we got other stuff that we got to do with this team. Because if he can't elevate the team when we got a team around him, what the hell you think he's gonna do once the team depreciates? Everybody too expensive. You done lost 4 or 5 more pieces. The draft pick can only do like a little bit here and there because of how you're doing moves. I was like, at some point, it just plateaus, and that's it. There's nothing else you can do. But anyway, that's just my thoughts with it. I think this could work out for everybody if it just runs the course at the end of the season. I was like, and hey, I'm I'm on that train too, because I'm like, hey, Tua, it was nice knowing you. You're a good dude, but gotta see if we can step that game up a little more, change it up a little different. Maybe we get some different attributes or whatever. Then maybe, and sometimes that's what it is. Maybe and sometimes it's just a different type of quarterback. You know, you like somebody that can run around when you can't run around, or somebody with a stronger arm when you don't have a strong arm. Things like that. That's the type of stuff you gotta think about. But like I said, anyway, deuce, I'm out.